Welcome to the module on assessment tools and strategies. The facilitators of early learning centers play a pivotal role in the assessment process as a primary stakeholder. Amidst their role in the teaching learning process, they should realize their responsibility towards demonstrating or evaluating the program effectiveness and its accountability. The strategies to be adopted for the effective teaching learning process were dealt with in a few previous modules. The previous modules of why, what, and when of assessment in an early learning center had made you look into the perspectives of assessment concerning its types and purposes. Moreover, the indicators of effective assessment had given you an outline of the type of tool that can be used based on the purpose of assessment. Still, I can hear you asking certain questions. How to evaluate or demonstrate the program effectiveness? What are the strategies or tools to be used to assess the child as an individual and the program as a whole? In what context can it be used? How can the information gathered be documented? What are the limitations encountered while using the documenting methods? This module on assessment tools and strategies is formulated in such a way that it answers all the above asked questions. The main objective of the assessment is to improve the learning outcomes of children. During the period of early childhood, the most important and widely used tool to gather information and evidence about a child or a program is employing informal assessment that would be dealt in the first video. Moreover, formal assessment tools are also equally employed, and it is going to be explained in the second video. At the end of this video, you will be able to identify the tools and strategies of informal assessment, which is said to be the vital source of gathering information about the child. As already mentioned, assessment is a part of every educator's repertoire. The process of informal assessment involves systematic observation, eliciting responses from children, gathering of activity products done by the child, collecting information from the family members. First one is systematic observation. Observation skills are the most important tool to be developed and appropriately used by an educator for effective assessment. As and when a child gets enrolled in a learning center, the educator should be aware of the child's interests, strengths, weaknesses, potentials, temperament, and the child's sociability. For the educator to be aware of these traits of the child, keen and accurate observing skills is the only reliable source, as the young child have a limited communication skill and ability to express himself or herself. Moreover, the process of observation should continue throughout the learning period of the child in the enrolled center. First one is that objective description of behavior without judgmental tags. Consider an event. It's a situation wherein a child named Robin runs from one corner to the other corner of a classroom, making the noise of a car during an informal talk session. The observational description to this situation can be: during the informal talk session, Robin ran from one corner to the other in the classroom, making sounds of a car. The judgmental tag could be: Robin is hyperactive. For an objective description of the child, the activity should be interpreted effectively with more evidences. But before collecting evidence, getting into a judgment is meaningless and can be inaccurate, leading to false assumption. The second is observe in a different context. A child's behavior varies depending on the context and the interest. Robin was observed to be attentive during the informal talk the next day and even other days. The manifestation of the behavior of running around the classroom happened when the informal talk diverted itself to the cars. The third is observe at different times of the day. The educator should get to know the complete information of a child, as the child's behavior and the process of learning gets affected by many factors such as hunger, tiredness, boredom, and fear. A child who does not show his performance in a given task at a point of time might show at another trial. So, observation should be carried out at different times of the day. Then comes observe children as individuals as well as a group. Allow the child to interact with others during the free play session to get complete information of the learning and the development potential of the child. Through interaction with others, a child can be assessed on his or her language development, social skills, and ability to solve problems. Then, every child to be given a specific period to observe. It's a well-known fact that few children derive more attention than others. But the educator should be cautious in not overlooking other children. So, she should plan a particular time to observe every child systematically. Then it is about avoid and be aware of biases, both individual and the cultural bias. A behavior manifested by a child would be interpreted differently by different teachers, as the interpretation depends on the teacher's personal and cultural ideas. Though such biases can never be eliminated in observation, care should be taken by the teacher in comprehending other person's view on the same situation and be aware of her own personal and cultural ideas. Then it is about collect evidence or information from parents and other teachers. The impression gained on a child by the educator over time does not change easily. Hence, there is a chance of misinterpretations. To avoid this, the educator should seek information from as many sources as possible. It might be from the child's parent, any adult with whom the child interacts, both inside and outside the school campus. Then it is about establishing a convenient system of recording information. Though the system of recording information consumes more time and energy of an educator, the educator should try out different methods and adopt one suitable recording strategy that she is convenient with. Few methods of recording are sticky notes, clipboards, note-taking in cell phones, iPads, or any digital devices. Then the most important thing is think what to observe in advance. The observation would be effective if the teachers decide what to observe in advance. However, she should be flexible to observe events that are needed to observe even when not in her plan of work. With all of these practices in mind, the educator can perform an effective observation. Certain times the teachers stand back and observe, and what we call it as a non-participant observation. At times, the teacher gets involved in the activities of children and the observation is called as participant observation. The second most important method is eliciting responses from children. Certain concepts like concept formation, perceptual understanding, and reasoning ability cannot be directly observed. In such cases, the educator should use strategies to elicit relevant response from children by means of conversation, informal talk, questioning, etc. Eliciting responses from children is also found to be an effective way of getting information about the child, as the teacher need not wait to get the child manifest the needed information through his or her behavior. The most commonly engaged methods of eliciting responses are questioning and small group discussions. It is always better to ask open-ended questions so that the child is given space to think it over by tapping his or her imagination potential and reasoning ability. Small group discussion. The child's thinking process in a group can be assessed by small group discussions. For example, after a creative activity session, the teacher might initiate a discussion with a small group of 5 children by asking why leaves were colored with only green. The children would come up with different answers, and even one could say, I colored it with yellow as I have a plant with yellow leaves in my home. Then the third aspect is gathering of activity products done by the child. In a day at preschool, the child produces his or her work products like worksheets, writing sheets, drawing, pasting, painting, collage or role play performance, etc. These products have to be collected and filed systematically, as every work products indicate evidence of learning and development potential of a child. At a later stage, the educator can compile all the work products referred to as a portfolio and show it to the child and the parents as a PowerPoint presentation or digital photos. The fourth method is collecting information from the family members. Instead of considering parents as a mere audience, the educator should seek as many information as possible from them about the child during parent-teachers meetings and report card meetings. Parents are the only source to depict the behavior of the child outside the school. The information from parents is so important to validate the conclusion on disability and special needs. Hence, the four steps to be followed in observation of children as a part of informal assessment that was dealt would have made you to develop an insight into what is observation and what is not. Hoping to meet you in the next video that would deal with the methods of formal assessment.